So look at yourself with kindness and with openness and with curiosity and gentleness. We're going looking for how we are in a situation, and this thing about the silver lining, find the positive in something that has not necessarily been so nice. So to make it very simplistic, it might be I keep on bumping into things. Um, oh, well, I must have good bones. But the need to check that I have good bones or to remind myself means that I'm bumping into things. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? So it's literally, if you can, try and recall a sensation or a memory, or think about life, your life, and if there are many moments where you have to look for the silver lining, see how that feels in your body. Allow it to come into your active experience. So it's great that you can do the silver lining experience, but it's not so great that you have to recreate these moments in your everyday life. It's like causing a problem so you can see how you can fix it. It's like breaking down a, a machine so you can see if you can fix it. Oh, wait, I'm getting better at it because last time I broke down the, I don't know, a computer, and it took me 2 hours the first time, and now I can do it in 20 minutes. So there's this making it a common occurrence in your everyday life. So ask yourself, where where was my experience, one of my first experiences of this? Where was that? Where where was I? How old was I? Even if you can't feel it, try and recreate that sensation in the body and that first moment. It is a part of life, but do we need as much of it as that we create it so often? I'd like you to get out of the thinking. What does that mean? How can I see it? And feel it in the body. Is there a weight? Is there a emptiness? Is there a sadness or an anger or a frustration? And just pay close attention. And maybe you can hear yourself saying something like, it's the only way I know how, or that's how it's done. The more information you have, the more the quantum consciousness has to work with. So one of the first things is if we try and look for a positive too soon, it doesn't allow us to experience the disappointment and all the other stuff that we need to feel before we can heal. So if it's the analogy, it's we're trying to have a wound healed before we can, let's say, clean it. Um, and okay, and who's the silver lining for? Just ask yourself that. Is it for you? Is it for your mom? Is it for your dad? Who wants you to get over yourself quickly? So it could be you, but who's the archetype behind it? So it could be as a child, you fell down, you scraped your knee, but just as well you didn't break your bone or you're not bleeding or Mm. Like always, we've probably bitten off more than we can chew for just a Monday evening session, but so it will be, which is great. That's the silver lining. We will get a transmission because it's seventh dimensional consciousness that we're missing. Okay. Probably it was very hard for me to articulate it somehow to bring through the idea because that's how we have been learning. So let's say if a stove is hot and you touch it and you burn yourself, the good thing is you now know it's hot and you won't try and touch the stove again. So it's like making something good out of an experience. So this is how we've learned. So we don't know how to do it another way. So the other way would be, again, a very simplistic explanation, but if someone came up to say, don't touch the stove, it's hot, you touch it, you're going to hurt yourself. You don't need to do that. So let's say that's very simplistic. You don't need to be in lack, or you don't need to recreate suffering, or you don't need to But if that's what we've seen and that's how life unfolds, at least we can get the silver lining. So it's before the silver lining. It's there we go. Come deeply into your body. Stop thinking so much. And feel whatever is touching the ground, like your feet, or if you're cross-legged, your legs, or if you're sitting in a chair, feel the weight on the chair and become very present. Let go as much as possible. So the saying that imagine you get a present and it doesn't fit in with your house decor or anything that you've known before, and so you don't know where to place it. This is literally, you don't know where to place non-suffering seventh dimensional consciousness. So let it happen. And try not to put it into words. What they're showing me is our human habit of, so let's say you heard 8D music for the first time and you want to explain what you're hearing, how you're hearing it to someone else, instead of waiting and experiencing it, which is literally what I'm doing. But so try and just see what you see, feel what you feel, hear what you hear. So while we're doing this exercise, like last week, bring in the higher self. The less mind you have, the more higher self come into you. And the higher self would have some knowledge of a seventh dimensional learning curve. In your body. And how you experience the event is through your ego, through your individual perception. Then you go about making it okay. Because you have to have the personal experience. But there is a collective. So, for example, even if you've never eaten a mango, you're aware that someone has, so someone has tasted mango, knows what it's like. But this, of course, is physical sensation, but it's an analogy. So you need to taste it for your consciousness to become aware of it. What if you could learn from someone else? So they have in this field the awareness and the ability to live in the seventh dimensional consciousness, that is experiencing without suffering, to learn through love and light rather than difficulty in overcoming. Doesn't matter how far away from your reality that is, but can you imagine that someone is doing that? That's living a seventh dimensional embodied awakened state. Even though you don't know what that is, can you imagine it? Can you imagine something, even if it's not the correct way of imagining it? We need to connect it somehow to build that bridge to it. I myself have often used the analogy of a samurai sword, which receives a lot of beatings and then is the most precious of blades. Um, that's really ingrained into human consciousness. So just to give it a sensation of how important this is in your consciousness is how much satisfaction and light do you get from overcoming situations like and finding the silver lining and making the situation okay because you found the silver lining and just feel into that if it's a huge part of your life. And is it a key area where you find approval, satisfaction, self-esteem? And if I ask the question, who would you be without that? You'll undoubtedly say magical, free, wonderful. But that's not necessarily how it goes. If your life structure is all about overcoming situations, then you lose your north, you lose your purpose of life, and you might get lost, depressed, confused. Yeah, there we go. So are you ready? Okay, there's a shift in the group. You might start to feel your heart opening. Something relaxing in your whole system. So remember, there's a part of you that I said it's consciousness is in 5D, can't necessarily be anchored as much as 3D is so uh, intense, it's so stubborn at staying here. So it's as if you were looking at yourself in pixels and you're all dots and lights and maybe just the two colors. So the overpowering one is a 3D. But focus, let's say if you can just find one spot of clearer light or a different color, and that's the 5D. And focus as if you're willing yourself to focus on this aspect that knows how to live in the paradigm of learning through kindness, learning through love. So, for example, you absolutely know you're okay, you're connected. You don't need to go through an illness or a separation or to find that you're okay. If you just know it, that knowledge is there in the fifth dimensional consciousness, which is, although small in percentage in your consciousness, if you just connect there, so there's so many things occurring. Trying to see if I can see some, but so let's say an event happens to 6 people, same event, and each one takes it differently. So it's not also, it's how you perceive the event, how you live it, how your conditioning is towards the event, the situation, or is also going to change. So it's not only this consciousness that you're bridging into yourself, but that consciousness brings in a way of seeing something. So it's confusing because it's things might happen. I'm trying to translate. So they're saying that when we try and see it from the silver lining perspective, we're trying to impose a fifth dimensional consciousness, whereas we would see it from the start as something. Also, if our consciousness is at that level, we need less intensity of jolting, let's say. We don't need such big lessons. And again, if we see it from the collective, it's very different than from the person. That's why I'm saying it's probably a big bite to chew, but as much as you can, bring it into your awareness. And even if it's just that, letting go of the need to have moments that are difficult just so you can live the silver lining moment, that is huge already. So it's a whole new way of interfacing, perceiving. It's going to take its time. It probably needs a lot more work, but it's the start. Most things are hard in life if you don't know where to start, if you don't know how to initiate a sensation, a program, or project, or whatever it is. So this will bring in more awareness. Okay, come on down.